Alexander, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks a lot. Just had my morning coffee ready to roll. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. And Alexander, can you tell a bit about yourself?
Oh, yes, sure. I run Benkendorf Group. This is an agency. This is a product design agency and branding agency for startups, SaaS, and service companies in tech. And I enjoy uncovering the hidden potential of companies to be the leader in their niche, to find their heart and soul and try to pour it out into the universe, um, to understand why people are doing what they're doing, how to align the team around that, what stories to tell, and how to visually represent all of that. And our main core competences are essentially design, and this is identity design, visual design, and collateral, web, etc., and UX, UI design for interfaces. But essentially, what we're doing is branding and product development.
That's great. Can you please tell me about the stories and UX? How are they related?
It's a it's an interesting question. Well, people live on stories and narratives on what is happening in the world. So there is a thing that is called user stories, but the thing is more about so like you can tell a story and you can listen to a story. So there are two different modes in every human. One of them is perceiving your journey in in a product or in a situation when you have a change, like some changes and some emotional something that leaves an imprint on you that you can share. And this is the core of every product. This is a change of a habit. So you're doing something
Mhm.
differently and in a better way than you used to be doing before. And this is exactly what is the story of the hero of 1,000 faces. I think it's called when you start off as someone, then you have a guide guiding you, and then this
Mhm.
guide transform, like you go through some challenges, and then it ends up transforming you. It ends up transforming how you behave and act. So maybe that's one analogy there. So, and it's also tied to
Hmm.
branding in a sense because branding also goes through the same framework. And this is a well-known framework called story brand, where your company would be a guide figure to your client. Not as your company is not a hero, the user is the hero. So in that sense,
Hmm. Hmm. So your company is a guide to your client for your client, right? And what we try to do is so what you try to do is create a story that will guide the client, right? Is that what I get?
no, client creates his own story. Client creates his
Mm,
own story because you are the guide. The client is
okay.
embarking on his own journey in life. And his journey in life is like with the help of like anything your company is doing. It's not just about the interfaces. It's about reaching certain goals or changing some of his behaviors. And that's why like when we work, like my motto is like I don't care about your company. I care about your customers journey more more than I care about the company. So I want to make sure that you are changing their lives by doing what you're doing. Yeah. So
I love
that
it
that would be
actually.
the case.
Yeah, I love the idea that you are not the story, you are just the guide, and then your user should create his own story, and then you should help with that story. That's an awesome idea. I really love it.
Yeah, that's the attitude.
Um,
And like the
ca-
thing about I care, uh, I can elaborate. So the thing about I care the most with working with tech companies are two staples essentially. One of them is trust. and the other one would be the human experience, like human to human, because we live in a digital world. Like we talk on the internet, we communicate on the internet, we don't meet as much, and but we're social animals. We're social. We need organizing. We want to organize ourselves, and a lot of tech companies forget that. Like they don't show the people behind their companies. They don't show the stories of their clients that were transformed by their company. So it's all about people. Like you show up, like, this is an engineer from Mexico. He lives somewhere, he rides a bike. That this is one part of that. And then there is the part of the transformation. So this is what people can show. And this is what you can think about when, let's say, designing interface. And this is all about, like, first it's the strategy, what we're trying to achieve in the first place. And then there's the human experience. And this is the whole story of this person, how many kids, like what he's thinking about, like what jobs he has is of course important, but like who is he, why is he there? And then he becomes the customer experience, and only then user experience, and only then the interface. And all of these steps are very important funnel. So think about the people, not just the thing itself. If he wants to be a niche leader in the, or like someone who is deeply connected with your audience, someone who has raving audience who are aligned with why you're doing what you're doing, not just, the transactional part of the product.
Yes, I love it. I love this idea. So first, it's all about humans. We are not talking about
Always.
that too much, actually, and I
Like
love
every API,
I love your perspective.
Correct. Like every API, like we have a Web3 API, or API, or like a very, like technological thing, which is like a part in a bigger part of a microservice of a platform, whatever. It is still about people in the end. It's about an engineer.
Yeah.
It's about innovation. It's about the needs. It's about the values these people have. It's about what they feel while using this technology. Or I'm not dismissing, like, it's not about woo-woo, because I'm not dismissing the jobs to be done and the transactional value it needs to bring, the utility it needs to bring. But I'm just saying that people just forget this part, and this is the two-sided coin. Like, people see the marketing side of things, the conversions, let's say, like the but they don't see this side of coin, which is the connection to the human part of that. And if you unite those two parts of your brain of the technological thing, then you will have a company that is holistic, that sticks.
The idea is great. Can I ask you for examples, please? Maybe we can think of a example and we can create this funnel in our head. That would be really interesting to hear.
Sure. So, well, let's take a transactional product, and that transactional product is, I don't know, one of our biggest clients
e-commerce shop.
Well, yeah, that could be an e-commerce shop. I would just like to tell from my own experience, we've been working for 5 years with a company that is growing despite the market. And that's essentially a company that is doing lead generation and sales services for for companies from around the world, bringing to US, Canada, and Western Europe these technological solutions and helping sell them. And this is just a service. Like, I wouldn't care. Like, I'm a leader of a startup. I want someone to be selling that. And one of the reasons this allowed to happen, this growth allowed to happen, is that we don't shy, like with that company, showing who are the salespeople behind this and what are the stories of the startups that are being sold and promoted. So like the human factor is very alive. People are being invited to podcasts, like not unlike what we are doing right now, like invite clients to the podcast, show the types of challenges and solutions that you face. Like, the best guests are those that were long clients. Like, put that for the forefront of the human level, in addition to what you are doing on a transactional level, that really boosted
So it's not about the
well,
product, right? So I just want to grasp you the idea that it's not about the
sure.
product, but what we do. And then the product is just one of the ways we are interacting with the client, with the human. And there are so many other ways that we can do that just to help them understand the problems and solutions. Do I get it?
Yes. Well, yes. It's just people and marketers usually. Yeah, like I'm a marketer. I've been teaching strategic marketing in B2B for a while. They see like transactional funnels. Like this is the customer journey. This is where he is right now. This is what he's thinking. How do we move him on to the next step? But what we end up forgetting that on every step there is the humanizing like glue that helps enhance all of that. And it doesn't exist. Like most companies, they don't try doing that naturally, and you can help them do that. And that creates the trust, and trust is essentially four things that we are trying to demonstrate, and not just demonstrate, as be these four things. And this is reliability, capability, transparency, and humanity. And what we're talking about with human factor is this, the humanity factor, which means like we have the best interest of our clients in mind. We care who they are as people on every step of the funnel. We can demonstrate that. And that like does create better, much better results, because this is one of the four trust factors. And transparency, once again, like we are not hiding anything. These are the people. This is our office. This is what we're thinking about. Of course, the product part is very important. It's reliability and reliability and consistency. Of course, you need to show like, yeah, this is the results, and this is why we are being consistent there. So like keep these four things on every step of the funnel. Look at things more holistically, connect to your client stories. Like don't shy away from talking to these people, from showing people inside your organizations, being proud of, like the humanity in us. Like don't just be super technical.
Mm-hmm.
The product is not just a product. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And when I think about this, it's like we have all these labels attached to us. It could be nationality, it could be, I don't know, what your preferences, hobbies, or what you do as a professional. But there is a much wider label that applies to all of us, and that's being just human. That's like the highest level of identity of a person. And we were talking yesterday with my friends, and one of them said that, oh, I've joined a startup recently, and I was telling about startup, and one of my friends said, oh, this startup, so what you do is such a human thing to do. So that stuck to me. Just a human thing to do. Like there are some values to be human, and we are ignoring them in a lot of cases.
In tech,
I feel
yes.
that.
I'm not saying like this is the only thing you should like focus about. Like once again, reliability, consistency, the value, the transactional value, the job to be done, they are important, and these people might be different. That's why, but the human side is too, and a lot of tech companies, and I'm making a focus on that, just because tech companies don't make this focus on that most of the time. That's my like making tech companies human is one of the things. We had actually a digital startup myself, which is a metaverse platform where people could run in 3D spaces and web browser, and that was our goal. Like, how do we make people feel connection, like connected through the internet? It's not an easy thing to do, we found that just showing faces, showing emotions, and being spatial also helps. Spatial, as if like we are in a common space. Like, for example, you're sitting in your room, I'm sitting in my room, but in the metaverse platform, it was like we are together in a certain, hall. just like a concept of that created better context and like connection with people, like common experiences specifically, because people bond around common experiences, people bond around chemicals, common chemicals that they share, you know. That, like, of course, if that is an API or once again like a
Is that a
platform
metaphor
product.
or it's a real chemicals? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's called align. I mean, it's just alignment. If we both feel happy at the same time, if we both feel something at the same time, we're like, like crowd. We are a self-organizing social organism, like in a big sense of thing. Like, and if we align, like two ants that are trying to do the same thing, that's why when doing consulting, especially, it's really important. Like, not that like you're a client and I'm an agency or something like this. No, we're looking at what are we changing in the world for these people doing that technical product we do or service, and how do we change that behavior for these people, making them go through their life, achieving their goals. Like, we're thinking together about this. So this alignment and this excitement even about this capability that we have, that is helpful. And the client can feel it too. Like if the client is feeling that your company, like being a guide, yeah, they kind of root for you actively because they care. So that's absolutely possible to demonstrate if you do a little bit of work.
Yeah, and I feel that this part of conversation is mostly never told. And we are always looking at KPIs and OKRs and I don't know,
It is
other
important.
metrics or and
Yeah,
like just the human experience is often neglected.
that is true, and that's why once again I've been working with mathematicians, and I love working with tech people, and and even marketers. They're like mathematicians. A lot of them. They're like about KPIs and metrics, as you said, the parameters. But like if we look holistically, you can be a little bit more bold. You can be brash. You can do unnecessary things that create this feeling like, I don't know, like micro animations. Is this necessary really, or something like, I don't know. Like there are a few things they can do here or there. Like be bold, joke. You can joke. You can risk. You can be like authentic. Be who you are. Not authentic. I think it's a buzzword right now. But be the best version of yourself and trying to create the best version of the world, and showing the challenge of like going into this best version, like accepting the constraints, being humorous about this, sometimes making mistakes. I've been writing a thesis on marketing ethics and how companies compete, and it mostly work when they're doing like even mistakes, but honest mistake it means that the company like remains who they are at heart, essentially, not trying to change that.
Yeah, makes so much sense. And the about the consistency and trying to show up, I actually run the blog almost every day. I try to blog every day, and it's actually very hard to show up every day. It's really hard. Sometimes it's impossible for me, but it's really hard. And to be authentic in terms of telling that story like people would expect you to tell it. And the other part is not waiting for a confirmation. Like, when you're not, I mean, you are not searching. I'm not doing this to get more likes, for my
Yeah,
blog. It's not the idea. I don't care about likes. I don't care about comments, and it's just showing up even if nobody is looking, and
yeah,
showing that you are a human and you have emotions and you are evolving, and just telling a story.
Yes, we sometimes I coach some of my clients who are doing the pitching to be pitching, and I always recommend to start like you have a big idea and then you have a story that really grasps the attention. Of course, I think that the important part here is though, like once again, like we have the mindset of even though if no one's reading, you are still showing up because like you would want to be the guide. So you care about a certain thing in the world, the transformation. For example, I'm really annoyed by absence of empathy, absence of authenticity, and absence of care, like caring for other people's lives. That's why like I'm working through that. And you could be annoyed by like misorganization. What can you tell me what you're annoyed about in why you're doing what you're doing in organizing the systems and helping people do it in the right way?
Because that's a really good question, and this conversation opens it up in another way. And because the purpose of what I'm doing is I'm helping technical teams with their challenges, understanding what issues they have, and the thing with that, the core problem, of course, are people. It's not the technology. And it's people. And I feel like what I want to do, what will be my biggest achievement in a company that I help, is creating connection with the people inside the teams and within the teams, and making the change. Like, I want people to listen to each other and to understand each other's arguments. And I have a technical perspective for that, but there is a human perspective for that also. And I feel like there is a big disconnect because like in tech, everyone is an engineer, and you are trying to solve the problem, and you are seeing the problem as a problem to solve. And we are forgetting that there are people working on this, and people using this. And my values and my vision for what I do is like human-centered, understand what's the issue, try to dig under the hood, try to understand, like I have an analogy when you just pick, this, if you have a wound and you just start to pick it with your finger and see what happens. That is what I'm interested in doing, because when we open up the wounds and we allow them to heal properly, and if we can think about in technical sense also, that will create a better culture for tomorrow. It will create a better way to do things tomorrow. And thank you, you brought this up. This is really interesting way to
sounds
open.
Like a bigger vision than just optimizing a few processes here and there, or just like doing the CI/CD thing, or just passing through a technical due diligence somewhere, for example. That sounds like a way better thing, and it also makes the client feel aspirational as to what he can achieve in his story with a guide that cares about this thing, essentially. So, and this is exactly why
even when I
every day, like a guide, like training to be the guide, because you care about these things, because you feel that why these things exist is like bad. You would like these things to not exist, but there is a gap, and you help people jump over that gap. So,
I wanted to bring an example. When at my last work, at my last client, I wanted to help. So I had to wrap things up and just take my next steps. But wrapping up, I understood there are things that right now I cannot fix, but I can make the guy, like my perspective for fixing problems in companies is not just, okay, you hire me, I fix your problem. I want these problems to to be fixed even if I'm not there. And then I wrote
Yeah.
the couple of suggestions when I was leaving, like, and said, okay, please do these things even if I'm not here. I would suggest you. I see the value for this, and your people they know what to do actually. So they have suggested the changes mostly, and the reason and how I see it is like, if you're a guide, and thank you so much for bringing this up. So if you're a guide, you don't want to be a guide once people pay you. You want to be a guide as a person, as a company, right? And
Absolutely
you want
correct.
to create value, and that's not just about money. And when people just hire you, if you can help them, just do that. Just help them.
Paying is all right. Getting money is fine. It's perfect. But as you said, like, you are the guide always, and that's why, like, if you're showing up online, you're talking about the things you care about. That this is the parts that don't involve like your time. Like, you're always in that mode of changing this, let's say, behaviors, and like, trying to find this thing and to find this thing, fight this thing. And some people like help fight this thing, because Obi-Wan was a guide to Anakin, to Luke Skywalker. So sounded like a geek thing to say, but you know what I mean. Doesn't mean that he had to do the fighting himself.
Yes, for sure. And I didn't expect we would talk about these topics so much in this podcast.
Yeah, so just as the core idea of this particular conversation, like, in tech, think about the human side, how to demonstrate, how to create this trust, how to be that thing that shows this trust. And that's one idea. And the second one probably that, like, can you be the guide that transforms the human stories behind, at the end, part of everything that you are doing. Like, don't forget how lives are being changed by, like, essentially anything that's being done. That is the transformation, and that would drive people in towards you and make them align with you on every step of their buyer's journey.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And
Well,
as a
awesome.
consultant, I feel the resonance very much. Yes.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I think we can stop here. Unless you have any other last minute comments or ideas.
Yeah, probably I would like to ask you a question, maybe a quick
sure.
one. So, to a person who is not a guide yet, but he feels that he has a potential to be one, what would be your suggestions?
Find someone who is on the same way. Well, I think everyone has the potential in his life, later in life, to become kind of a mentor figure. And you can find someone who is not there yet, and you are factually, not in your mind, but factually a few steps ahead of these people. And if you're 10 years old, there are 5 years olds. So, if you're you know something, you do something better than yourself, that you need to learn yourself what is the driver of what you enjoy doing in life, and doing something is transforming. Sometimes something it's bringing joy to people. It's a lot. It could be a lot of things. And find those people, and people will be drawn to you who would like this help, who would like that mentorship. So yeah, if you're like, if you're as a consultant, like, let's say consultant that is starting up, there are another people who has not yet made this transition. There are people who are still, let's say, they're employed, but they could be the driver of change in their organization, and they will be looking up to you. So I think just practicing on cats, talk to a parrot. Anyway, so
Yeah, and
that's what's helping me. Like, I have a lot of I consult for free for some of the small companies, like very early stage startups. Like, we work with startups to, like, get millions in funding, but there are super early stage startups. There are agency owners who are just starting out. or like want to move to international projects, and I just try and help them out however I can. If I have several slots in my week essentially when I'm doing that, like every week, but that's just a few slots, and I feel that this is what I want to be doing like personally. I mean, you have to want it. Like, not everyone has to be doing that. That there are other ways of guiding people other than one-on-one consulting or something like this. This could be a few words here or there, or just your actions, that inspire other people.
And I want this conversation to go, but I know we don't have time. But I want to add a little bit of things that I think is important is look at people who are doing things you do, and like, or they may not be doing things you do, but if you want to make a change in yourself, I would suggest to find a mentor, and you even shouldn't tell them. You may even don't tell them they are your mentor. You may just find a person or a I don't know, old man sitting on the bench, or it might be a bird who is flying to your. So find a guide and like project everything on that guide and listen to the guide, and I think that also helps to make your internal transformation happen.
That is correct. And don't forget that the part of what the guide does, it's not always about the guide. It's about the hero as well. Like, hero can talk to a tree, and the tree would be his guide. If the hero is sort of ready to listen to the tree, or the wind's listening, like the leaves, or something, like how the stories or Japanese stories tell, like, I was listening to the trees and that's what happened, and the world was my guide, something like that. So you don't have to be, factually pushing an agenda to someone, and you have to be open to your journey. So that's what works for me.
Thank you so much, Alexander. It was a very interesting talk. I really enjoyed it.
Appreciate, likewise.
I know we will do another one. I know we will do another one. So
sure,
let's meet again.
A little bit more
Thank
practical and factual next time. Sure. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.
Yes. Okay. Bye.